Very good. Thank you very much, Theo. We are now starting this first conference. We had little technical issues, but every year we have a little technical issue when we start the conference program. Joël.
Nous allons commencer, Béatrice, en te donnant la parole. Tu vas pouvoir commencer cette présentation sur ton association et toutes les actions que tu mènes pour lutter avec le démantèlement des barrages, et tu vas nous expliquer tout ça.
And the floor will be given to Beatrice Alducci. Am I saying it right? Yeah. How is my Italian?
All good, all good. That's
all good.
Fine.
Talking on behalf of her association, the World Fish Migration Foundation, and the issue of dam removals in Europe. Beatrice, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you to you. Thank you for hosting me.
It's a pleasure. And we want to hear everything about the dam removal issue.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Then, hi everyone. I'm very happy to be here and be presenting to you the work of World Fish Migration Foundation, and particularly the project and coalition of Dam Removal Europe. I just want to start by saying, why is river restoration important? Well, we all are involved in river conservation because we want to make sure that our rivers are free-flowing. But what happens with the rivers that are not anymore free-flowing? What happens to the rivers that have barriers on their flow? Well, we need to do something about them. We need to restore the thousands of rivers that are not anymore a free flow. So that's what we try to do at Dam Removal Europe and the World Fish Migration Foundation. So I will start by introducing what is Dam Removal Europe. I will follow and say what is the problem of river barriers, what is the solution that we propose, and hoping that by the time that we get to the end, you will be a bit inspired. I hope you will become a river hero too, and you will want to be part of the movement in some way.
Voilà, une présentation assez claire de cette association qui se concentre sur l'enlèvement de barrages sur les rivières que fréquentent les kayakistes et autres pratiquants. Beatrice donc se propose de nous faire cette présentation en 3 parties. Une petite présentation de la problématique avec le problème lui-même, de quoi s'agit-il, et puis de nous proposer des solutions pour essayer d'enlever et de réduire le nombre de barrages sur les rivières.
So, Dam Removal Europe is a coalition that comprises 7 organizations. So it is the WWF, European Rivers Network, the Rivers Trust, Rewilding Europe, the Nature Conservancy, Wetlands International, and us, the World Fish Migration Foundation. The coalition started back in 2014 because we saw that there was a movement in the US and they were removing dams. And we thought, how cool, why don't we do it actually in Europe? We need to do something about it. So that's when we actually kicked off this organization. And in these past years, we actually managed to reunite 6,000 individuals that come from diverse backgrounds. They might enjoy rivers in their daily life, in their work life, whatever. We have biologists, researchers, scientists, some kayakers. We want to have more though, but also activists and volunteers.
Voilà, donc une coalition, donc l'organisation dont nous parlons n'est pas seulement une organisation elle-même, c'est aussi une coalition de tout un groupe d'organisations que vous voyez à l'écran, nées aux États-Unis, mais qui maintenant s'intéressent à la situation européenne.
And our goal is to actually mainstream dam removal as an affordable, effective, and efficient tool to restore rivers. In this way, we are not just managing to free rivers, but we're also helping to mitigate climate change. We are improving public safety for river users, and we are also helping local communities and their economies.
Voilà, donc on essaye de restaurer donc le flot, la fluidité des rivières, avec évidemment des issues économiques et des objectifs de sécurité publique également, puisque toutes ces installations peuvent avoir un impact sur la fréquentation de la rivière.
So I'm going to discuss a bit what is the problem, first of all. And I will show you this map. So this is a project that we were part of called AMBER. It was funded by the Horizon of the European Union. And we, together with the citizens and also scientists, we managed to estimate how many dams are choking the flow on European rivers. And the estimate is this 1.2 million river barriers that are on European rivers. So this epidemic that we're seeing started back a lot of time ago. We have always used water as a way to improve our livelihoods. But it started particularly after the Second World War, when we started to use hydropower as a way of sustainable development. The movement of building dams and river barriers kind of slowed down in the 1990s as we started to see that it had detrimental effects to nature, but also people due to the displacement of communities. But after it, when we realized that the climate crisis is a problem, we picked up with the hydropower development again. And now we are in the situation that we have thousands of barriers planned on European rivers. So for instance, on the Balkans, only there are 3,000 barriers that are planned for construction or already under construction. And of these 1.2 million river barriers, we are talking about many different types that serves different purposes. So you might already be comfortable with the name dam, weir, and culverts, but we also have a lot of other type of barriers, like ramps, fords, and sluices. And depending on which barrier you want to build, you're going to also serve a different purpose. So the European Environment Agency tried to figure out what barriers are out there and for what purposes. And the two main purposes are hydropower and flood protection. All the others, they are quite developed, but not as much. But I would like to move your eye to the very first column on the left, which is unknown or obsolete. So that is where Dam Removal Europe situates itself. We have found through the AMBER project that there are 12% of barriers that are obsolete on rivers. That is a lot. And they're just there, they serve no purpose. So I'm just going to give you a quick definition about what we mean when we say obsolete barriers. They are those barriers that have passed their expiration date and they're not serving anymore their intended purpose. What it means is that whenever you build a barrier, you're actually using concrete. And concrete doesn't have an indefinite lifetime. At a certain point, it breaks. At a certain point, it just fails. So unless it is maintained constantly, we will have that this barrier will not be in use anymore. It is not maintained, it is not licensed, it's just there to block the passage of fish, flow, people, everything. And so the goal for us is to actually remove those 150,000 barriers that are present in European rivers and that are obsolete.
Voilà, un exposé extrêmement clair du problème donc, que nous rencontrons en Europe. 1 200 000 barrières d'une forme ou d'une autre, depuis la production hydroélectrique jusqu'à la protection contre les inondations. Et puis un nombre très important de barrières qui n'ont plus d'utilité. On ne sait plus vraiment pourquoi elles ont été faites, pour des objectifs économiques, fonctionnels à une époque. Mais aujourd'hui, donc, on est sur du 12%, 12% de barrières qui n'ont plus d'utilité et qui vont tranquillement tomber en désuétude et bloquer la circulation des animaux sauvages et bien sûr la nôtre, puisque ça impacte également les kayakistes et autres pratiquants des rivières.
So just to give you an idea of why barriers are bad, I'm just going to divide this question into three lenses, which I think are very important: the environmental, the social, and the economic. So this is just a quick overview about the reasons why these river barriers that are obsolete are bad. There are thousands of others, but I think I need to keep it simple. So starting from the environmental, we have that the sediment and nutrients get trapped behind the barrier. Whenever we imagine a river, we are not actually imagining only a flow of water. There is also a flow of sediment, there is a flow of nutrients, and whenever we put a dam, we stop the flow of water and sediments and nutrients, which has terrible impacts on the life downstream. So we think about bank erosion or deltas disappearing because there is no more sediments, but there is also a problem with these nutrients. So oftentimes we see a water quality deterioration. So whenever the nutrients stay in the reservoir, these algae bloom just come up, and they are very dangerous for like the ecosystem, but also for us if we access the river. Another reason is that dams, barriers, are not green. They sell them as green, but they're not. And that is because whenever you build a reservoir for a dam, you're submerging life, you're submerging a forest. And this forest is alive. So whenever it goes underwater, it actually decomposes. And the decomposition of organic matter emits CO2 and methane. So the next time that someone tells you, oh, hydropower is green, you can be like, no, it is not. it emits greenhouse gas emissions. So, for example, 1 week ago, I was on the upper Neretva River in Bosnia-Herzegovina. It is a pristine river. It is gorgeous. It's one of the last free-flowing, the upper section is one of the last free-flowing stretches in the Balkans, and it is incredibly threatened by hydropower developments. So as you can see, this is how the river would be without any barriers. And on the right, you have the beginning of the reservoir of the dam that will be situated in Ulog. And you can see that the water is black. And that is because the organic matter, the forest that was under there, is starting to decompose. So that is what becomes of a river as soon as you create a reservoir. And another reason is that, of course, whenever you build a dam, you're going to block the river fauna that goes upstream and downstream of the dam. So our organization, with many others, every couple of years, 4 years, we give an update about what is the situation of migratory fishes around the globe. So the Living Planet Index for migratory freshwater fishes has shown us that since the 1970s, the migratory fish populations have collapsed by 81%. And in Europe, that is very bad too. It has declined by 75%. And this is a huge problem for economies and for local communities that depend on these fisheries. And after this, I'm going to talk about the social reasons of why river barriers are bad. So 1 year ago, you might have all heard, woken up to, read, or listened on the news that a dam in Libya just like failed and caused thousands of deaths. At the same time, I had to update this presentation a couple of days ago because we don't need to go back that far. We don't need to go far back in time to find another dam failure. Just a week ago, a dam breached in Poland, in the southwest, causing like the displacement of so many local communities. So at the social level, dams and river barriers are a big problem. Whenever they are not maintained, even when they are maintained, but whenever they're not maintained, the likelihood of failing becomes even higher. And for us kayakers, another problem is safety hazards. We all know about drowning machines. We all know that whenever there is an obsolete barrier and we want to pass, we want to actually go over with the kayak, we are posing each other at risk. So if they're obsolete, we might have wires that come out of the dam, of the weir. You might have broken concrete, and that is not good for us, for any river user. And so if these dams and if these river barriers are there, they're obsolete, there is no owner, there is no license. Who takes the responsibility for the accidents that happen in the river, whether dam failure or safety hazards? And finally, I will talk about the economic reasons behind why river barriers are bad. And first of all, whenever we want to maintain a dam, it is not easy. It is a very difficult task. We often have to divert the flow and spend a lot of money. So whenever the license expires and more maintenance needs to be done, the owner faces the possibility to either repair it or to remove it. And we have seen that actually removing the barrier is so much cheaper than repairing it. In addition, having obsolete river barriers can cause the collapse of certain economic sectors. So for example, when I was talking about migratory fish populations, we have a collapse of commercial fisheries on a river, which is very bad for local communities that rely on it. And in addition, whenever we have obsolete river barriers, the chances of flooding increase. So the cost of flooding maintenance becomes high. I want to just show you this example. This is on the Duero catchment in Spain. And you can see on the left, that is the photo before the removal of the weir, and on the right, after the removal. I just would like you to focus your eyes on the red circle. So on the left, it was the before removal in 2012, and the flow was 165 meters square per second. If you move to the right, it is after removal, and the flow was almost double, 307 meters square per second. And as you can see, the river is so much lower with respect to the wall. So if we still had the barrier and there was the flow that you see on the right, that would have been a flooding. So that is cost that the local community, that the insurance, that the government doesn't need to pay to actually repay the damages to the community.
Donc trois aspects dans la problématique de ces barrages et de ces ouvrages de retenue. Un aspect environnemental, un aspect social et un aspect économique. Alors l'aspect environnemental, eh bien, ce sont des sédiments qui ne circulent plus, une qualité de l'eau qui s'appauvrit, et puis bien évidemment la migration des poissons qui n'est plus possible. Et Beatrice nous signalait une chute mondiale de 81%, 81% de baisse de la population migratoire au niveau des poissons. Ça commence à être des chiffres un peu conséquents. D'un point de vue social, on l'a vu, alors malheureusement des morts par milliers, puisque c'est comme ça qu'il faut le dire. Récemment, en Pologne, un déplacement de population fréquent. Et puis, eh bien, finalement, des sites où on a des matériaux qui traînent, qui sont totalement obsolètes et qui ne servent plus aucun avantage. Et puis, d'un point de vue économique, on a évidemment un coût d'entretien pour prévenir l'effondrement des ouvrages, qui n'est pas toujours possible d'ailleurs d'endiguer. Et donc, il y a des effondrements d'ouvrages avec un coût des inondations qui est absolument massif. Et Beatrice finissait avec cet exemple d'une rivière où on voit bien qu'une fois les installations enlevées, eh bien, on peut avoir 2 fois plus de circulation d'eau en volume pour finalement moins d'occupation et en tout cas pas d'inondation.
So you might already wonder what is the solution, but I will let Tore say it to you. Maybe not.
Alors, il faut peut-être mettre le son. Maybe you want to put the sound in your settings.
Yeah, or maybe I can try to remove it and put it back.
Voilà le trailer d'un film qui évoque les solutions. This is the trailer of a movie made by the organization to give some hints. Non, on n'a pas.
No. Yeah. So unfortunately, the sound is not there, but Tore is what we call a river hero from Norway. And he's a passionate angler, and he decided to just embark on the project of removing dams. And that's him just setting up the removal of a dam in Norway with ice and everything, and he was trying to set up some explosive to get it started. So this is in some way what we do at Dam Removal Europe. We try to figure out how many dams have been removed in Europe. We connect the practitioners that do the dam removal, and we inspire new practitioners that want to embark on this journey. So far, there has been over 8,000 barriers removed in France, removed in Europe, and France is leading the way with over 3,600 barriers. However, the countries in Scandinavia and Spain are really picking up, and they're removing so many new barriers every year. So here is what we have seen. So between 2022 and 2023, there has been almost a 50% increase in barriers removed. So we almost got the 500 barriers removed in a year. So this is a report, the dam removal report, that is released every year. And we try to give updates on whatever the community has done in the past year. So if you're interested and you want to get the report, you can come by at the booth, and I have some extra that I can show you and I can give to you.
We've got great supporters out there.
So now that you know what we do, what is the problem, what is the solution, I hope that you will want to become river heroes too. So the situation in Europe is very different depending on countries, because we have national legislations that are very different. For example, in Spain, it is great, because whenever a license expires, then the dam owner needs to either remove it or maintain it and get the license renewal. So although the situation is not as nice in every country, and there are some gray areas, we are trying to harmonize what is being done. And with the help of the European Union and the passing of the Nature Restoration Law, the future is going to be bright. So the Nature Restoration Law was passed in June 2024, so this summer, and its goal is to identify and remove barriers that prevent the connectivity of surface waters, so that at least 25,000 kilometers of rivers can be restored to a free-flowing state. So we will see more and more dam removals and barrier removals happening in the next years to actually achieve this target. So this is great news. So what you can do to identify barriers? Well, if you remember the Amber project that I talked to you about before, we have an app, and people like you that experience the river in thousands of ways, whether it is supping, whether it is kayaking, anything, if you like angling, you can actually be part of the barrier identification process. You can download the app, and whenever you see a barrier on the river, you can just take a photo and add the information that you know about that barrier. So you can download the app both on Google Play and the Apple Store.
D'accord, donc une application, alors on l'a bien vu, les solutions évidemment c'est d'enlever ces constructions. Il y en a déjà plusieurs centaines, d'ailleurs plusieurs milliers qui ont été enlevées en Europe à des vitesses différentes en fonction des pays, mais la Commission européenne nous aide, vous aide en prenant une loi sur la restauration de la nature. Et ça, c'est plutôt une bonne nouvelle. It's rather good news that the European Commission is moving. It's even extremely good news. Et donc une application sur laquelle vous pouvez prendre la photo que vous allez de la barrière que vous allez voir sur la rivière et qui permet de l'identifier et puis ensuite de traiter le problème. Donc ça, c'est un outil formidable.
And you can also remove barriers too. So if you go to the Dam Removal Europe website, there is a toolbox. And if you want to know how to start a movement and learn how to actually remove the dams, you can do it. You will find videos that will guide you, that will explain you what are the various options and opportunities, and you can also connect with other river heroes, which are other practitioners that might be operating in your area, and that can actually be some mentors to your work. And, well, you might ask, why is it important that I'm part of this? Well, for the safety first, because of course we experience the river and we put our lives in danger on the river, and we want it to be as safe as possible. So if there is a barrier that is not safe, we need to act and get it removed so that we can actually enjoy the river, not thinking about the damage that can incur. But it can also, whenever we restore a river, we can restore it for our purpose. So, for example, this is a success story from the river Parnu in Estonia, which Estonia is very flat. There were no rapids. But whenever they removed the dam, they decided to restore the river and build a slalom course. So now they host some national and international competitions. There is a freestyle wave. They hold some whitewater rafting courses. So if you're a part of it, you can shape the river for your own purposes, for what you would like, because it is possible. It has been done before.
Et oui, on voit bien que la participation permet eh bien, de travailler sur les rivières pour le bien commun, mais également pour le bien des kayakistes qui, comme en Estonie, eh bien, ont pu faire maintenant du slalom et ont pu faire un stade de slalom. Donc il y a un intérêt évident pour les kayakistes à participer à ce mouvement.
So I have the movie, but I don't know if the trailer, but I don't know if it works.
The trailer, yeah.
Yeah. So I have a trailer of a documentary that we helped to produce about the journey of Pau Fernández Garrido, which is a Spanish engineer, traveling across six countries in Europe to show the work of river heroes. Let's see if it works. In case, you can watch the documentary for free on Waterbear, which is a free platform. You just need to sign up. And yeah, I hope you will enjoy the watch. The documentary is called Dam Busters, the start of the revolution.
Ouais. Alors, est-ce qu'on a les gens de la technique, s'il vous plaît, qui pourraient venir nous voir? Parce qu'on a un petit problème de son, comme tout à l'heure, et je ne sais pas si c'est votre appareil ou si c'est les settings de l'ordinateur.
Le son qui sort de...
Là, oui, on lance un film qui ne...
Pas la télécommande, non, peut-être?
Because we can also skip it
Vas-y,
if you want.
can you start it?
Yeah.
Our rivers abused and excessively used in resources. Veins of Europe, completely disconnected and fragmented. We need heroes to save them. Who are they?
Regardez là, regardez. Paf! C'est la libération, encore une fois. Et c'est fini. Et la rivière, elle est libre.
Individuals all over Europe are restoring rivers, removing obsolete and unnecessary dams and barriers.
We're talking about removing obsolete barriers, barriers that no longer serve a purpose.
It's the biggest dam removal that ever happened in Europe. It's the first time. And it will open more than 80 kilometers of rivers for salmon.
Rivers must flow. There must be a flowing notion. That's what river is.
My name is Pau, not Paola, Paolo, Paula, just Pau. I'm a dam removal advocate and expert. I started hearing success stories about rivers and coming back to life in Europe.
Just opening up the river upstream is going to have massive benefits for the nature.
When people see these dams go down, they see how this river gets restored. They see these new rapids, and they see a river run free.
We're going to start working with dams. We're going to free the rivers.
I have seen that 1 year ago. It was like a desert. Now you can see the nature is coming back and the river is free flowing.
Nature comes back and gets its right. River continuity or connectivity is the key to the ecosystem resilience.
It's created a snowball effect that nobody can stop anymore.
Finally, some hope. That's why I'm traveling all over Europe to see this. Bringing nature back is the job of our generation. They are the dam busters, the start of the river revolution.
Listen, the sound of the saloon. She's singing again.
Yeah, so you can see the movie on Waterbear, which is a platform for environmental and social movies. It is free. You just need to make an account. And yeah, thank you very much for listening to me talking about this.
Ah, donc le film est disponible gratuitement en ligne. With this site?
Waterbear.
With your site, on your site.
Waterbear, it's called.
Water bear.
Yeah.
Water barrier.
Waterbear, yeah.
Water bear. Okay. Thank you very much for this presentation.
Jean-Yves, donc, comme convenu, on va poser quelques questions à Béa en français. Première question, d'abord on vous donnera la parole si vous souhaitez poser bien sûr, bien entendu vos questions. Une question qui nous vient à l'esprit avec Jean-Yves, comment est-ce que vous êtes accueilli dans votre combat, dans votre quête, notamment vis-à-vis de la population locale, lorsque vous arrivez sur un combat, sur une zone un petit peu à défendre comme ça, comment est-ce que vous êtes accueilli d'un point de vue sociétal sur la population locale?
When you arrive on a zone like this that is determined or that is presented to you or mentioned, what is the reaction of the population? How do they behave? What's their reaction with you guys? What is the social impact of the idea?
So it really depends on the background of people. If we see kayakers or anglers, they know that we are there to restore the rivers and restore it as it was a long time ago. So they happily accept the fact that we are going to remove a barrier. With the local population, it depends. Because it really depends what is their connection to the river, what is their connection to the dam. We had the case that in France, if you see the documentary, you will see this dynamic within the local population, that they had been using the dam reservoir as a recreational area for decades. So for them, the reservoir was a way to enjoy their time and spend time with their family. So in that case, you need to kind of teach or transmit how beautiful the river will be when it will be free flowing. It's just that a lot of people maybe have seen only the river dammed and they don't imagine it in any other way. But the river can be free flowing, and if it is free flowing, it can provide so many services to us. I mean, for us kayakers, we know it very well, but if people are not passionate about kayaking, you know, so many cities are close to rivers, and so many people on hot summer days just go to the river and enjoy. They go for a swim because they want to cool down. So that is what the river can provide us.
Est-ce que votre travail consiste essentiellement, est-ce que vous êtes concentré sur les fameux 12% dont on parlait tout à l'heure des ouvrages qui sont obsolètes aujourd'hui, ou est-ce que vous travaillez sur un ensemble d'actions qui comprennent aussi d'autres barrages qui sont encore en activité, et où va peut-être se poser la question justement du paradoxe humain, où on se demande si c'est une question écologique d'un côté, mais il y a aussi les enjeux énergétiques, et comment est-ce que vous répondez à ces questions-là?
It was mentioned that there is 12% of the constructions that are seriously obsolete. And the question is, do you actually concentrate on these 12%, or is there many other opportunities?
So at Dam Removal Europe and the World Fish Migration Foundation, we concentrate on those 12% of barriers that are obsolete. However, particularly in the States, with the Klamath Dam removal that's had just freed like last week, finally, the Klamath is a free-flowing river. So in that case, they actually went to remove active dams that were producing hydropower electricity. So our focus is on obsolete, but it can also be done to active barriers whenever there are very detrimental effects to the ecosystem and to the people. And we have a bit of a paradox between the energy and the environment, of course, but we have seen that with the climate crisis, the glaciers melting faster, and a lot of these dam reservoirs depending on glaciers, and also the swing between droughts and floods that are becoming the new normality. We often have dams that have too much water and they might breach, or when there is not enough water, so they cannot produce hydropower. So in the future, we really need to question whether hydropower is a solution, because water is not anymore as reliable as it was 50 years ago, and we need to think about it.
Alors oui, les organisations se concentrent effectivement sur les 12% qui sont totalement obsolètes, mais il y a également des interventions sur d'autres constructions, avec le paradoxe que ça pose, c'est la qualité de la rivière par rapport à l'énergie, notamment dans les installations hydrauliques, par rapport à l'énergie qui est installée. Et il y a clairement une question de priorité qui va se poser à l'avenir, de savoir si l'hydroélectricité est la solution et à partir de quel niveau en quelque sorte. Et pour donc la question précédente, oui, le problème social quand ils arrivent quelque part se pose. Alors quand ils s'adressent à des kayakistes, c'est assez facile parce que les kayakistes comprennent tout de suite leur intérêt à ce que le barrage soit enlevé. En revanche, si c'est une autre population, il y a souvent des explications, il y a souvent des réunions d'information qui sont nécessaires pour leur faire sentir la possibilité d'une diversification et les possibilités que ça peut ouvrir.
Est-ce que vous avez des questions? Est-ce que vous voulez poser des questions à Béa?
Hello, Andrea Ricci from Italy. I didn't know Beatrice before. I'm proud that she is Italian and doing this job. And I'm worried that Italy was not mentioned there. Probably there is no dam removal in Italy. We are in a prehistorical phase. We protest against plans for doing new dams. Please tell us something, hopefully nice about that.
Notre ami italien qui se réjouit que notre amie soit également italienne, mais qui nous dit en Italie, il se passe peu de choses. On proteste contre l'installation de nouveaux barrages, mais il y a toute une série d'anciens barrages. Mais malheureusement, il n'y avait pas tellement d'informations. Est-ce qu'il y a une réponse à ça? Have you got something about Italy?
So yeah, it is not the most joyous situation in Italy, as you might have imagined. So yeah, I think that the total amount of barriers that was removed in Italy was 10, which is not much when you compare it to 10, yeah. So it is not much compared to France that removed over 3,000 or Spain over 800, I think. So there is a lot more work to be done. But at the same time, we are very hopeful that the movement will pick up. There is a collective in Sicily that is trying to remove barriers. So that is very good news. And we hope that with the nature restoration law, each member state will have to do something about figuring out what rivers to restore. So also then Italy will have to come to peace with itself and the dams and be like, okay, what barriers can be removed, what barriers need to be removed. So more will be done, for sure.
Et oui, tous les combats s'installent dans les pays les uns après les autres. C'est pas toujours facile, ça ne va pas très vite en Italie, puisqu'on est plutôt sur une dizaine d'installations enlevées contre plusieurs centaines dans d'autres pays européens. Mais Béatrice ne désespère pas de la motivation des Italiens pour avancer sur ce sujet. D'autres questions peut-être?
Avez-vous d'autres questions?
Yeah.
I have a question for active dams where fish passes have to be renewed. So, and I guess there will be a competition between the owner, fishery, and maybe canoeists to let's say, build a slalom course or stuff like that. So maybe they argue they will damage the fish by doing kayaking and so on. Are there good arguments, or is there literature available where such a slalom course was observed for, let's say, changing the fish or let's say the natural environment? Or impact for nature?
Voilà, si j'ai bien compris, on est sur une question relative au conflit d'usage. The conflicts of use, for instance, between fisheries and outdoor professionals or these sort of things, or fishers. How do you manage that? Comment est-ce qu'on gère cette problématique de conflit d'usage?
So I think that as long as we are not involved in the process, they will not understand what we want. They will not understand our sport. So there needs to be open communication between the anglers and the kayakers. I'm not aware of any publication that says that kayakers damage fish. Personally, I don't think so. As a kayaker, we are very respectful of our environment, and we are just there for a brief second to pass and enjoy the rapid. So we are not creating any disruption. And I think that also, like slalom courses, if you develop a slalom course and open the way, for example, I know in Millau in France, there is a weir on the right side of the Tarn River, and then on the left side there is a slalom course, and there is also a freestyle hole. And that's the only place where fish can migrate, because there is still a tiny bit of water, and they built a fish passage, so even when the course is closed, the fish can go up. So we are doing good for the fish. Like kayakers, fish, and the anglers can coexist. There is no private property over a river. We need to build a common good and the free roaming of the river.
So the key words would be consultation and probably non-exclusivity when we adapt. C'est ça, probablement une solution avec en tout cas des consultations, ça c'est absolument essentiel, entre les différentes parties prenantes. Et puis des recherches de solutions non exclusives. On fait un espace de kayak, mais en même temps, il y a des espaces pour que les poissons puissent migrer et que les pêcheurs y trouvent leur compte. Donc c'est toujours dans la concertation qu'on trouve la solution.
Pas d'autres questions? Bien, Jean-Yves, je te propose de conclure là-dessus, parce qu'on arrive au bout de notre temps imparti. Merci beaucoup Béa pour ton intervention, bravo pour ce combat, et puis à bientôt.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. We will be meeting again. We talked about another organization called Mountain Wilderness that you may be of interest, that has got similar